Most High in Christ. Salakia for that. The brother tells me we weren't live on the Durham station, Durham Israelites, which I thought I hit. Okay, but the language that is called Hebrew today, that is spoken by the European imposters, is not really Hebrew at all. Now, they do use the Assyrian Hebrew alphabet, which is this. Israel, or Yasha'Allah, that's the modern Hebrew or the Assyrian Hebrew way of writing it compared to the Lashawan Qadash, where it goes like this. They both have the exact same pronunciation, except for in the Yiddish, they say Yisrael. They say Yisrael, where we say Yasha'Allah, which is the original word, which means the prince of the power, right? So that's the difference. It's most, like, you could pronounce in the Assyrian, you can pronounce the Yashara'Allah because it's spelled exactly the same, and the letters have the same pronunciation, except the Europeans decided to add vowel sounds, which changed the pronunciation of the words, okay? So these are the two forms. The ancient, both of them mean Israel. This is the ancient. Oh, Slav. Okay, so we're back. So Baba Kashah, and then we're going to do some vocabulary words. Where's that spray you had? Oh, here it is. Hey, pass me some paper towels there. More. Two more. Okay. So now, of course, because the fact that the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of, you understand what I'm saying? We have to clarify certain things because what is taught in the earth is that during the time of Christ, that the people that are called Jews or Hebrew Israelites are speaking a language called Aramic, which is really not the case. And the Bible bears witness to this. So we're going to get some scriptures to prove that during the time of Christ, Hebrew was the chief of the Israelites in Jerusalem. Give me Acts 26 and 14, Baba Kashah. Because, you know, if we say we're the home of the truth, we have to tell the truth about everything, right? So we want our people to understand the importance of this language, because when this language was rediscovered by the men of the Isupk, you understand, it changed the whole perspective, you understand, and the interpretation of the Bible improved greatly because the work that these brothers had done. And now we could understand it from the perspective of the Lashawan Qadash, of the holy tongue, you understand, and understand the difference in interpretation from a foreign language as to from the original tongue. You understand? And it has greatly given us a great advantage in understanding and learning about the Bible. You got that, bro? Baba Kashah, if you could.
Come on, this book of Acts, chapter 26, verse 14. And when we all fall into the earth, I heard the voice speaking unto me, heard a voice, like you, speaking unto me, and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?
So what this is saying, this is when Paul is on the road to Damascus and Christ speaks to him. And Christ speaks to Paul in the Hebrew language, not in Aramaic, but in Hebrew. So Paul, of course, in 1 Corinthians 13 and 1, he says, though I speak the tongues or the languages of men and of angels, he's speaking of the Lashawan Qadash. That's what he's talking about. So here, Christ is speaking to Paul, calling Paul by his Hebrew name, not his Roman name, Paul. You understand? So here's further proof that during the time of Christ, that Hebrew was the language, the primary language of the Israelites, even though they spoke many different languages at the time because of the captivities and the oppression under the Greeks and the Romans for over 300 years. Okay? So now, give me Acts 22 and 2. Because I'm going to give you enough proof explaining Christ Hebrew was our language, and it didn't die out until after. You understand? 200, 300 years after Christ. You got that?
Conquer.
Acts 22 and 2. Baba Kashah.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 22, verse 2. And when they heard that and when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue to them, they they kept the more silence and he saith.
So what this is when Paul is being persecuted. And so they give Paul a chance to speak. And they was murmuring and talking and everything like that. And then when Paul started speaking in the native tongue, the Hebrew, they all got quiet. Because they know that this brother is speaking to them in their language. He's their brother. So now they're going to listen to him. That's what's happening right there. And so now the Hebrew language is still respected. That also determines that fact, that the Hebrew language was respected among the Hebrews, among the Israelites. Understand? Let's get some more. That's it on that?
Come on, sir.
Give me Acts 21 and 40. Because the Hebrew language is prominent during the Christ, but for whatever reason, that Israelites were speaking Aramaic. And I think I've proven to you that the Hebrew came from Abraham all the way up until Christ. This is what we're proving. You understand what I'm saying? Because even though we were in many captivities, we still maintain our language, okay? Even though the alphabet itself changed during the time. Go ahead.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 21, verse 40, Slakia. And when he had given him life, stood on the stairs and beckoned with the hand unto the people. And when there was made a great silence, he spake unto them in the Hebrew tongue.
You understand? So here's another instance where Paul is beckoning unto the crowd, like, yo, come hear this. Because Paul is on trial and he's trying to defend himself. And he's trying to make sure that the people can understand the situation that he finds himself in. And in order for him to do that, is another instance where he's speaking in Hebrew, not Aramaic. You understand? So now, that's it on that.
Okay.
We got some more. Give me John 19. We're going to read verses 13 and 17. The whole point of this is to get our people to understand the importance of the language and how we tried our best to hold on to it. Because that language, that Lashawan Qadash, a spiritual language for spiritual people. And in the UPK, the ISUPK, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, we have a mandate to reclaim everything that belongs to us. Okay? Everything that belongs to us, we're going to reclaim it and all that. Did I tell you that? Yeah. Salaki. So, yeah. You got that?
Okay.
Come on.
This is the book of John, chapter 19, verse 17. And he, bearing his cross, went forth into a place called the place of a skull, which is called in the Hebrew Golgoth.
Golgoth. So the place that is known to other people in one by another name in other languages or another language is known in Hebrew as Golgoth, because it's in our homeland and it was named by us, right? That's what we got there. So there's more proof of the functioning of the Hebrew language during that time. Read verse 17.
Come on. That's what I just read, sir. You want me to read 19?
No, 13.
13. Come on. Verse 13. This book of John, chapter 19, verse 13. When Pilate thereof heard that saying, he brought Jesus forth and sat down in the judgment seat in a place that is called the pavement, but in the Hebrew, Gababath.
You understand? So this is another instance, you understand, of the Hebrew language being used during the time of Christ. So we've shown you verses from the time when Christ was actually alive and from the time that he had departed the earth. Okay? So we got two more. Give me John 5 and 2. And then we're going to move on and we're going to do these vocabulary words. And I'm going to cut the class short because I'm having back spasms, Joe. And that's just what it is. Okay.
Come on, sir.
John 5 and 2.
Come. This is the book of John, chapter 5, verse 2. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue, Bethesda,
Let me see.
Bethesda.
Bethesda is the word, and this is a Hebrew word or a transliteration of the Hebrew word. Okay, and so here's another example of Hebrew being, you understand, the source of the name of an important place in the history of Christ, right? One more, and then we're going to move on to the vocabulary words. Give me Luke 23 and 38. The Hebrew tongue was present during the time of Christ. Christ spoke Hebrew. And just because they couldn't capture the proper pronunciation of the language, you understand, because they never knew the language and it was never theirs, you understand, they tried to claim that it was another language other than our native tongue, which is Lashawan Qadash or ancient Hebrew, Paleo-Hebrew. You got that?
Come. This is the book of Luke, chapter 23, verse 38. And a superscription also was written over him in the letters of Greek and Latin and Hebrew. This is the King of the Jews.
So when they had Christ on the cross, they wrote the inscription, the famous inscription. This is the King of the Jews. But they didn't write it in just Greek, which was the Greek language, and Latin, which was the Roman language, the primary Roman language of the time. You understand? Or their way of writing was Latin. You understand? And they also wrote it in Hebrew. So if you write something in Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, that means that your population is speaking those languages. Those are the primary languages spoken of in the population. Okay? So I think we've proved that point very well. You understand? And the point is that our language is part of who we are. Our language is part of our culture. You understand? And this is the importance of the Lashawan Qadash, right? Here's another little tidbit that I want to share with you. Go to Hebrews 4 and 8. Because there's a misnomer about the name Jesus Christ in the Bible. And the Isupk teaches, under Command of General Yohanan, we teach that the name Jesus was not a rare or one-time name, and that several people had the name. And this is the proof that Jesus was not the only person. Jesus Christ was not the only person. Yahweh Shai Mashiach in the Hebrew was not the only person with that name. We have, very many scriptures that prove that that wasn't a unique name, unlike what the Christians are taught. Go ahead and read.
Come. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 8. For if Jesus had given them rest.
No, 4 and 38.
4 and 38. So
no, you right.
4 and 8, sir?
Yeah.
Come.
Looking at something else.
For if Jesus had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day?
So what most people think is that this is talking about Jesus Christ, but he's running down the history, and this person that he's speaking of his is actually Joshua. This is Joshua. of the Old Testament that is being spoken of his. And his name is called Jesus too, because Joshua's name is Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew, or Joshua as the English transliteration. You understand? But that's the same exact name as Jesus Christ. Also in the Apocrypha, you can read where the authors of the translation of the Apocrypha, who translated the Apocrypha from from Hebrew to Greek, and it took them a good while, at least 1 or 2 generations to do it, was a family with and the grandson who completed the work. His name was Jesus as well. So that's at least, and there's more, at least 3 instances of the name Yahweh Shai or Jesus being spoken of in the New Testament. Okay. With that being said, I think we're going to move on. We're going to get some vocabulary words here. So I'll get a second. So the first word that we're going to use or learn today about is H6937. Of course, in accordance with the Hebrew word 6937. And that word, dark or black, is Qadash. Now, you have another word that is used for black, Shakawar, means black. But Qadar, which is used in Jeremiah 14:2, means dark, very dark, or different shades of brown. That's the words that is used in Jeremiah 14:2 when it says that the Hebrews are black, meaning it actually means a different shades of brown. That's what it actually means. Okay. Qadar. This is it in the ancient, and this is it in the modern Hebrew. The same word, H6937. Qadar means you can apply it to black because it's very dark. Okay? That's something good to know. Okay? So now the next word is H8179. H8179, and that word is for the gates, because the gates of Israel language, meaning that they're weak. And that word is Sha'ar.
So like if I could, I just quick question. If you don't got it off top knowledge, it's fine. But
Good.
do you know they arguing about the Paul saying the kiss, right? Like the but do you know the Hebrew word for it? Because of course we know that it's not like a sexual kiss,
Yeah.
right? But I believe I read somewhere where it's like a salute. You can look at it. Okay,
it's a salute. That's what you understand.
Sure.
But the Greeks being a carnal people, you understand, and the word is written in Greek during the time when it was being written down. It was written in the Greek word, where if we don't have the exact Hebrew word to apply there because it was written in Greek, so they, using a sensual term, instead of a salute, they put a kiss.
So what about also in what was it first? I think of First Samuel. David, right? David kissed Jonathan. So would we be able to find it using that word, or would it just?
Yeah, now that's a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, let's look it up.
Okay.
Because let's look it up. That's an excellent question, because I've heard people use that scripture to try to say that David and Jonathan had a relationship,
right?
That they were like Leviticus,
Right.
So do you know is it in Samuel?
Yeah, I can find it.
All right, find it for me. We're gonna go to the concordance, and we're gonna get that word. So if you give me the scripture, I'm gonna put it up in the blue letter.
My damn laptop is overly hot.
That's something really good to know, for real. Okay, so we got. So the first or second Samuel.
I believe it's first, but it should be popping up now.
Hold on, just bear with us a second, because this is something that we should clear up.
First Samuel chapter 20 and 41.
And 21.
20 and 41.
Okay, and it reads, it says, in the English, it says, as soon as he had, as the lad was gone, David arose out of a place toward the south and fell on his face to the ground and bowed himself 3 times. And they kissed one another and wept with one another until it. Okay, so let's get to Hebrew. So in the Hebrew, the word that we're looking for kiss, for time's sake, because I normally would read the Hebrew, but and wept with one another. There's no word when it gets truth. There's no word for kiss in the Hebrew like that. So it says, and they wept. It says, let me see, here it is. Oh, here it is. It's Nashak.
Nashak, right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's put that one up here. Which is H5401. Now they saying it says kiss, right? So we're going to put that up there, and then we're going to go to H. Nashak. To compare, to kiss, literally or figuratively, to touch. Literally or figuratively, to touch. So a kiss could be just a gap, could be a hug. Let me get Strong's outline of biblical usage. To put together, to kiss, to touch gently. So of course, Hebrew word, and David was a straight up killer. Yeah. He wasn't kissing no dudes, man. You understand? So you understand, because of course, like I said, it's the Greek who are sensual and deviants.
Right.
They would put kiss. Oh, he kissed him.
Right. Because they kissed each other.
I found out, I was reading, and you got Agrippa, right? And his wife is Bernice, right? She's his sister. That like they had no morals at all. On the back, Chasten, what's his name? What was the guy that had his head cut off for sleeping with his brother's wife? That was normal to them. It wasn't a sin to them. Right. That's real talk. So the word for kiss, neshak, which really means to touch gently. You understand? It's a touch, a soft touch. You understand? It doesn't mean that you got kissed on the mouth. It's translated like that because these people are carnal like that. And I'm going to tell you, in the spirit, man, men don't kiss each other, especially on the lips. That is crazy. I'm sorry, man. Okay. So the word gates, sha'ar. Let's go back to that. Sha'ar or sha'ar. And okay, so sha'ar is the gates. So the gates, of course, a gate is to keep things in or keep things out or to add protection. So this is from the fact that our gates languish and matter, which is H3 or 535. Languish, when something languishes, that means it's broken down. Understand? That's what language means. And the word, and we're going to get it. Amal. Amal. Amal means language. Okay? Amal. Amal means to languish, to be broken down. Okay? Or, so if you say Sha'ar Amal, that means your gates are broken down or they languish. Okay? I believe that's how we would say it. Okay? So our next word. That was good, man. We cleared up that kiss. But the next word is going to be flood. No, brethren. H251. Brethren, which simply means brother, kindred, or kin, family. That's what the word brethren means. Okay, so, and that word, of course, is ak. 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 Akyam would. Of course, this is the Assyrian and this is the ancient. Okay. So I'm gonna give everybody who's watching a chance, if you want to, write these words down. Okay. But I just sidebar, I always watch the news and I try to keep up with what's going on in the earth. And like the more I watch and I watch the kingdom crumbling, I look at it like the president is a joke of a man. Every time somebody finds some new evidence on this dude, he tries to blame somebody else. Now, there's hundreds of photos, there's videos, there's letters. His own, what was the woman's name? Department of Justice leader. She even said that he was on the tape, on the Epstein files. Multiple people, an accredited newspaper like the Wall Street Journal actually on the president of the United States for the whole news. But he ain't filed no lawsuit yet. So you elected a sexual deviant to the presidency. It probably ain't the first one, but we know Kennedy was a sexual deviant too. But you've elected a sexual deviant to the highest office in America. And you think things are going to go right for America? You understand what I'm saying? It's going to go real bad real soon. It's going to go real bad real soon, y'all. And every day he's talking about all these deals he's making with China and with Japan and with South Korea. And it's going to bring in millions and billions of dollars. And you know what? The American people ain't going to see none of that money. You know where that money is going? To corporations. You understand? Corporations, which is going to use foreign labor. You understand? But Americans being gullible, they clap and they cheer when they hear stuff like that. But in Isupk County Command Jury, we know better. All of those big billion-dollar deals and international trade deals and, fluctuations of the money supply and the dollar and the yen, it doesn't help you and me at all. As you can see, moving forward, all it's going to do is raise all our prices, man. And they're going to put more profits in their pocket. That's what's going to happen. Because that's the American way, in case you didn't know. Okay, so I'm going to erase these words. We got to... Yeah, we got a few more minutes. Okay. What did I do with that damn eraser? I do this every week. I put the damn eraser down. Drop it. Oh, there it is. This is your brother named Lashawan.
Yeah, cat. Officer 5,000 a shot.
Yeah. Like one of the favorite things that I read about the men of Israel and the Apocrypha, they talked about the time when everybody was so impressed at the manliness of the men of Israel. You understand? So and was having some kind of I shouldn't even speak on that. And another thing that we learned is how the oppressor, how he plays games with his own citizens and his own people. Like you got to be kind of like a fool to not see that they're lying. That we're you really got to be some kind of an idiot, in my estimate. All they're doing is protecting the reputations of rich white people and a few rich black people too. Like Michael Jackson was out there too. Okay. The next word that we're going to use is H 399 3999. That word is a word for the word flood. America is flooded with evil and deception and wickedness on a level that the world has never seen before. You understand? They are actually protecting publicly, you understand, pedophiles. You understand? The word is mabawal. You know, Trump, he talks about all these deals, right? And how all of these billions of dollars are going to be exchanged and all of these billions of dollars are going to come into the American economy. You know, it's just a smokescreen. It's just another way for them to rip us off. Okay, so that word is flood. Mama wall. The earth is flooded with the venom and wickedness of the oppressor, man. He got everybody playing his game. Everybody's drinking the wine of the wrath of his fornication. The next word we got, what time is it now? Yeah, we do this. We do one more. We out. Is H7. And that word is curse. Curse. In certain contexts in the Bible, a curse is a punishment, right? And that word is arar. Arar. curse. We're cursed here in America. We're punished here in America. You understand what I'm saying? But the good part is we're at the end of the curse. We're at the end of the punishment. We're at the end. And then those who have punished us, you understand, will be punished. The last word we're going to do is H3678. And that word is throne. We're praying and hoping and waiting for Christ to take the throne. You understand? Oppressors and their rulership. The word for throne is ka sa'a. Kasa'a. Oh no, it's ka. The ka sa'a, ka sa'a. Kasa'a means throne. Okay, and with that, I hope that all of the people out here who's watching learned something today, and at least you did learn some history about your language and where it come from and how important it is to our people. And we thank everybody once again for tuning in and watching. You understand the class. Okay, and with that, we're going to say Yahweh Shemal Shai Barakathum, Yahweh Shemal Athum, Bashemal Shai, with the Isupk. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under